All unhappiness in life comes from not accepting what is.
Why can't you enjoy life?
I don't know.
Should have a fashion line, a foundation.
One single injection unlocks your DNA.
Do you believe in me?
The arena turns slaves into gladiators, the gladiators into free men.
This is Donald Trump from Mr. Cohn. Thank you so much.
Donald who?
I know it's been a tough few months for you, so...
I also want to say that I know you're not the most comfortable person with people.
I'm not?
No.
He's in his grave right now. He rolled over. You did your thing.
പക്ഷേ തൽക്കാലത്തേക്ക് ഞാൻ ഈ മേഘത്തിന്റെ കയ്യിൽ കുറച്ച് ഉമ്മ കൊടുത്തിട്ടാലും.
I got a kid who wants someone who speaks Russian. Let's go.
No, I'm eating my food.
You're killing me.
There are 80,000 native Irish speakers in Ireland.
Ní faic I tíl gan teanga ach lá náisiúm.
Three of us have become rappers.
People in that room, and each one wants me to be somebody else.
How do you sing, then?
I put myself in another place.
I'm not afraid. It's the wizard who should be afraid of me.
Oh, Nina, James, Oscar, welcome to the show. So many good films to talk about there, just so many. But Nina, we've got to start with, mentioning that this year will feel very different to last year, sadly set against the backdrop of those wildfires, which is just terrible.
I mean, it already feels different, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because here we are doing the nominations programme. This has been pushed back twice already. The award show itself is going ahead. The CEO of AMPAS, Bill Kramer, insists March the 2nd, there will be an Oscars. What will it look like? How do you get the tone right for one of the most glamorous events in the world when Los Angeles had experienced the horror that it has experienced and is continuing to experience, because people are being evacuated as we speak. The wildfires are still spreading. I don't know. No one knows what it's going to look like come the Oscar ceremony itself. And what they can't do wrong, the people who run the Academy, is get the tone wrong, because they're under a lot of pressure to do it right. And we'll hear in the coming weeks, how they're going to make this look.
Yeah, that's really important, is the tone. And James, you'll no doubt know people in the industry who are affected as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Friends of mine have had to evacuate their homes and leave. Some have been away from LA and stayed away because of the little kids and not sure what's going on. There's reports of like asbestos in the air, and it's not a happy time to be there. So it's interesting, and the town will recover from it. But there will be people that leave and don't come back, and there will be
It's certainly going to be a long-term impact that's going to be felt. And Nina, you talk about the tone being really important. We know that this year's award ceremony, March the 3rd, you say, it's going to be hosted by Conan O'Brien as well. He's going to have to get the tone right. But it's not the first time the Oscars have had to adapt to circumstances.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, they've had to adapt the show with very short notice. I mean, in 1938 there were floods in LA, and they postponed the show for a few days. 1968, the assassination of Martin Luther King, that inevitably pushed the show later. In 81, the attempted assassination of Ronald Reagan, that too affected the date of the show. The American invasion of Iraq. I mean, they're used to, going very quick in terms of moving the day, and they have got to react proportionally and properly, because no one wants to see something as glamorous and glitzy and otherworldly as the Oscars if something truly terrible is still happening in Los Angeles, the home of entertainment.
Yeah, and the other element as well, we mentioned earlier, there's a new president in town. He's back, he's reprising his role, Donald Trump. I mean, James, you've been up on the stage, you get the chance to make those speeches. It can be used by some people to make a political point. Do you think we might see some of that
I'm
this year?
sure we will. Can't not. But I think tonally, they'll get the tone right, because these guys are in the city. It will be there in the atmosphere of the city. So I'm pretty sure they'll put on a show, and it'll be bang on. I mean, it's impressive being there live and seeing it. There's no other show on earth, I don't think.
And that's the point, it's live. So if you want to go on stage and make a statement, and Donald Trump has made many statements since he became president, and, Hollywood is, broadly speaking, liberal. He's not too keen on, woke, what he would term as woke. That's a word that's being chucked around rather a lot. I think it's going to be a really interesting Oscar. Just wait to see whether The Apprentice, in which someone plays a young Donald Trump, gets any nominations, because he will not like that at all.
I mean, if you weren't going to vote for it before, you are now, right?
Well, that's the point, isn't it?
Well, we were talking about that, Nina. I mean, I think the nominations closed. When was it? On Sunday, was it the last chance to get those votes in? That could sway things slightly.
It certainly could sway things. I mean, I interviewed the cast when they came over. They were very earnest and very grave about what they were portraying and what their fears for America were. Donald Trump tried to take legal action to stop the film being distributed. He nearly succeeded. It is a very contentious film. It is a great film, I have to say, brilliantly acted. But you can't help thinking if there's a victory from there, it will be some kind of statement. And if they win, there will be a political comment and a speech on the stage. Make no mistake about it.
Oh, we'll be watching. Listen, let's get to the films. Let's get to the films, because it is all about the films. And we just saw from that little sizzle reel, they call it, don't they, in the industry, we saw this huge selection. It was a great reminder of just how many great movies that were out last year. And I think, you know, for me, I'm going to say it now, one of my favourites, Conclave.
Yeah,
and it's up there. It is up there, isn't it? Oh. What do we think? It's going to do well.
I personally love Conclave. I've seen it a few times. The minute I saw it, I was like, this is wonderful. Like we were chatting before, you know, there's nothing dramatic. It's not an Emilia Perez type film. It's just a very interesting narrative. And it's so brilliantly acted. I mean, Ray Fiennes is so brilliant in it. And, you know, it did really well at the BAFTAs. I'm really rooting for it to get loads of Oscar nominations. You loved Emilia Perez. That's the film he loves.
I do love that. But Conclave, I do also like, actually. And Conclave's got a British production designer, Susie Davies. Forget the production designer.
There you go. Of course.
But yeah, I mean, I went to see it and I was like, what? Who wants to see a film about getting a new pope?
That's exactly what I thought, and I've seen it twice.
And you know, it's brilliant. It's a political thriller at its best. It reminds me of all your President's Men and stuff like that. Emilia Perez, though, on the other hand, is just a breath of fresh air. It feels like it's taking movie making forward in the way that Zone of Interest did last year. So for me, that's got edge. You know, there's some really great movies. I really love The Brutalist 2. Challenges as well. Challenges was good fun, actually. I've forgotten I'd seen that until I saw that clip. So yeah, there's a good.
Of course, if Carla Sofia Gascon wins Best Actress and goes upon that stage, given what Donald Trump has just said about gender recognition within the United States, under his United States, she would be the first trans actress to be nominated in that category. And we've seen from her Golden Globe speech that she is likely to get quite political and defensive.
And that's going to be hugely significant, isn't it, if that does happen? James, listen, we're going to get back to the movies, but there was one thing to be nominated, which we're waiting to find out, but there's another thing to actually win an Oscar. Let's just remind ourselves of that moment when you picked up this little chap last year.
And the winner is Poor Thing.
This is crazy. I feel in the mood for love and custard tarts, weirdly. Anyway, we've got to thank Searchlight and Element.
Now, for people who don't know, that is a reference to Poor Things, obviously, custard tarts, right? Listen, what was that moment like when you hear your name, you're called up on stage and you think, oh, goodness, I've just won an Oscar?
I mean, for me, actually, today, a year ago, was more mind-blowing, the actual nomination itself, because I'd never worked or knew anybody closely to me that had been nominated before, so it was. I had a long time. I never suffered from panic attacks, and I'm not sure I had. But whenever it was mentioned, or I thought that I'd been Oscar nominated, I kind of had a little heart palpitation. And it wasn't until we went out to go out to LA that a friend of mine that I'd met, that I'd known for years from Wolves, had sort of gave me a talking to and said that you're doing it for you know, for us, the people from the West Midlands, and kind of the people that are not necessarily born to being in the film industry. So he sort of put me on the path. But then the week of the Oscars itself is kind of like a big festival. I didn't realise it's not just the day. It's like there are parties going on, there are events, there's panel discussions that you go and talk to with your peers, and you get to know your other nominees really well, which was kind of a fun thing to do. But I felt a bit like destiny the day. I really thought that we were going to do it, Shona and myself, and so I just didn't want to make a fool, like having to watch that clip back. And
you said it was painful watching.
But you know,
exactly.
he got sent loads of custard tarts after
Did
this.
you?
You know.
I did, yeah. I did.
Can we look at another one now?
They were waiting for them.
You've
Oh,
had
I don't
your
know. It's been a while since I've had some. I could do with a few more.
Listen, life really changes when you get one of these, doesn't it? Because you've got some fantastic stories. Because apparently, for a start, if you want to get into that very famous Vanity Fair party, right, which is the one that everyone wants to go to, you have to bring your Oscar with you to prove that you've won one, and you won it on this year.
You do, yeah. They check the back of it, actually, not even the engraving. There's a number on the back.
There's a serial number in here, yeah.
And we were like, what are you doing? And they would say, well, we've had 3 others already this evening that have from other years that they've tried to get in.
Can you believe it? I can, actually.
I was also, when you have the line out at the Vanity Fair and they're taking photos, I don't know what came across me, but I was like, no one's ever going to look at a photo of me. So I gave them the Viva Victory sign to the photographers.
And also, didn't you meet someone quite famous in the lift when they spotted you because you had your Oscar with you?
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't get away from us. So Shona and I were in the lift with 3 Oscars because we had Zuzi at the set decorators Oscar, and Arnie and Danny DeVito walk in. And we hadn't known because we'd missed them present the award. So they came in and they were like, congratulations on winning an Oscar. And we were like, thank you very much.
Hello. Listen, we've all been taking many selfies with this one. And just to let you know, we will let you have it back at the end of the programme.
Will we?
Maybe. We just want to get back to the movies, though. And just a reminder as well, anyone watching, you are joining us now for a special coverage of the 97th Oscars nomination live. We are just minutes away from finding out who has made that list. While we wait for the announcement, though, let's talk a little bit more to arts editor Nina Nannar. And James obviously come in. British talent again is it. Every year we seem to be up there, don't we? And this year is no exception.
Yeah, I mean, we've got many people who are hopefuls in the acting categories. As I've mentioned, Ray Fiennes, he has never won an Oscar. In 1997, The English Patient won 9 Oscars. One would assume that one of them was for him, but it wasn't. So he's definitely, one of the favourites there. Felicity Jones for The Brutalist, for Best Supporting Actress. And we've got to say Cynthia Erivo from Wicked. She's got a very good chance of a nomination. And I am rooting for Marianne Jean-Baptiste from Hard Truths. The performance of the year. It would be amazing if she gets her second Oscar nominations. Her first one was back in 1997. So loads of British talent. And behind the scenes, as you mentioned, Susie Davis. I mean, we are really, really good at this stuff, the technical stuff, and it's recognised by the Academy.
Yeah, I think so. Wicked as well, and Nathan Crowley and Lee Sandals, who that was shot here in the UK. So they've got a good shout, like a really good shout, I think, of.
James, we're just seeing a bit of Wicked now. When you get a film like Wicked and you see the amount of work, yes, the star's the story, we know it's a blockbuster, it's huge, but the amount of work that it takes to get the idea from the page to the big screen, the blockbuster that we see, the finished product, the behind-the-scenes work and film like that is so important, isn't it?
It is. It's a huge amount of work. I don't know if anyone's ever done any house renovations or whatever, and you know how stressful that is. Creating sets is a bit like that, but on an epic scale, and there's an army of people that go involved. Something like Wicked, it's not just the production designers and the art directors and the set decorator, it's the construction crews and the props and it's just hundreds of thousands of people behind just to create the sets without shooting it or inhabiting that set.
And so much of Wicked was actually built, the set. It wasn't CGI, so what you see is what the actors would have seen as well on location in this extraordinary set.
Yeah.
And there was the thing about they needed tulips, so they just grew a few million.
Wow.
And they put them in. I mean, the scope of it is
there's been a shift back to, away from CGI, hasn't there, and getting it more, so that realism, because there was a lot of criticism about CGI, wasn't there, for a while?
Yeah, there's a lot more, seems to be a resurgence in physical sets and real environments that you can, it just helps the actors, how can you be in that world, inhabit that world and feel those things without having something tangible to touch and
that's a really good point.
So.
Nina, can we expect some surprises, though, with these nominations? Because, look, we could see what was essentially a horror movie, The Substance, up for Best Picture, Best Director.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen this film a couple of times and it's good. Demi Moore is superb in it.
She is.
I mean, it's just going to be the most wonderful story if she gets her first Oscar nomination. Talk about comebacks. There's such a groundswell of support for her, and the speech she gave at the Golden Globes was absolutely stunning. I think there'll be a lot of people cheering if she gets an Oscar.
She described herself as a popcorn actress, didn't she?
Well, she was
What does she mean?
She was described as that because she's an actress who makes the kind of films that gets loads of people going to the cinema, box office smashes, but don't necessarily, according to the person that told her, have that same artistic merit. She was put in a box. She's got out of it now.
Yeah. Emilia Perez, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, because I do think that this led the way when it comes to BAFTA nominations, at least, didn't it? That got the most nods. Do we think we're going to see, is that going to be an indicator for here, or is it a slightly different process, slightly different judges? How does it work?
They overlap, don't they, the judges?
A lot of the membership are the same across. So I think the BAFTAs there's usually one or two things which aren't the same, but 90% of it will be the same, I think, don't you?
I think Emilia Perez is going to do really well because of what you said. It is different, it is daring, it's the most audacious film you will see this year. And I think the industry will be saluting that, I think.
Absolutely.
Like Poor Things did really well. I mean, who's ever seen anything like Poor Things?
No.
Slightly, bonkers, but, the Academy loved it.
Yeah.
They did, yeah.
It was bonkers at the beginning, and then you got into it, and then you actually realised the point that was being made as well. And I think, to what extent are some of these movies, they're entertainment, but there is a message,
Absolutely. And that's what Emilia Perez is so good, because it rattles through. It's a really fast-paced film, and you're hit with this musical element to it, which is kind of shocking. But the message behind that you were touching on earlier is quite incredible, really. So it works on many different levels, and that's what makes it such a great film.
I mean, you mentioned Challengers being one of your favourites as well. That I completely forgotten that was even out this year. It could be a good year for Zendaya then, because she's in that. She's in June, part 2 as well. I'm just thinking all these people now, these names.
I don't expect to see her in any of the nominations or challenges, but it's amongst everyone's favourite films of the year. I thought it was great.
It was great. It's interesting how the whole season happens, and the films that get released earlier on in the don't tend to make a run for it, do they? It's something of the art of doing an Oscar run is.
We've got to mention The Brutalist.
Yeah, The Brutalist. It's not out in the UK till next Friday, I don't think. That did really well at the BAFTA nominations, obviously did really well at the Globes, more than 3 hours long. This is a film that was shot in Hungary, and that's why it cost about £8 million. And it's interesting that Donald Trump wants his ambassadors to look at trying to keep that work in Los Angeles and not have it all go to Eastern Europe, where it's much cheaper to make films. I mean, The Substance is about Los Angeles. It was filmed in Paris. LA is really expensive to film in. There is an issue there. And, he's left it to his 3 newly appointed ambassadors to try and get it sorted.
Very interesting. We've got about, I think, 15 seconds before we have to cut.
Cinematography, the Brutalist cinematography that's...
Well, it could be up there. It could very much be up there with quite a few nominations. It's got an interval, isn't it? It's so long, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's got an interval in. It's so long, but it's absolutely stunning. It's a real kind of...
Here we go, Nina. We're going to cut now, live to LA. We're going to hear the first lot of nominations.
Okay. The Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, Janet Yang and Bill Kramer.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us for the 97th Oscars nominations announcement. On behalf of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, I want to welcome you and extend our deepest sympathies to everyone impacted by the fires here in Southern California.
This has certainly been a difficult time for Los Angeles, where many members of our film community, industry work and live. But the last several weeks have proven what we already know to be true. Our film industry and Los Angeles are resilient. And for almost a century, the Oscars have brought us together to unite and celebrate our global film community.
During this year's ceremony, we will honor the talented filmmakers nominated today, pay tribute to our brave first responders, and celebrate the enduring spirit of Los Angeles and the film industry.
And now, without further delay, to announce this year's Academy Award nominees, please welcome Rachel Sennett and Bowen Yang.
Good morning, everyone. Hello. What an honor it is to be with you today.
Me and Bowen are are wide awake. We have been up since 10 p.m. and between us, we've had 3 Diet Cokes, an entire pack of cigarettes, and 1 Adderall.
And you get to guess who had what. Don't worry, everyone. Rachel and I have been through extensive pronunciation training for all the names today. Let me try now. Wicked.
Amazing, Bowen. That was really good. Well, let's not keep the people waiting any longer. Let's go.
Are we ready for some nominees?
Let's go.
First, for Best Performance by an Actor in a Supporting Role, Yura Borisov in Anora, Kieran Culkin in A Real Pain, Edward Norton in A Complete Unknown, Guy Pearce in The Brutalist, and Jeremy Strong in The Apprentice.
Next, the nominees for Achievement in Costume Design. A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Gladiator 2, Nosferatu, and Wicked.
The nominees for Achievement in Makeup and Hairstyling are A Different Man, Emilia Perez, Nosferatu, The Substance, and Wicked.
Next up, the nominees for Achievement in Music, Original Score. The Brutalist, Conclave, Emilia Perez, Wicked, and The Wild Robot.
Now this year's nominees for Best Live Action Short Film. Alien, Anuja, I'm Not a Robot, The Last Ranger, and The Man Who Would Not Remain Silent.
Many such cases.
Yes, of course.
Okay, for Best Animated Short Film, the nominees are Beautiful Men.
Where?
Okay. In the Shadow of the Cypress, Magic Candies, Wander to Wonder, and Yuck by Charlie XCX.
Wonderful. And now we have the first of the 2 award categories honoring writing. First, for Adapted Screenplay, the nominees are A Complete Unknown, a screenplay by James Mangold and Jay Cox. Conclave, screenplay by Peter Straughan. Emilia Perez, screenplay by Jacques Audiard, in collaboration with Thomas Bideguin, Leah Messius, and Nicolas Levesque. Thank you. Nickel Boys, screenplay by Ramel Ross and Jocelyn Barnes. And Sing Sing, screenplay by Clint Bentley, Greg Queter, story by Clint Bentley, Greg Queter, Clarence Macklin, John Devine G. Whitfield.
And for Original Screenplay, the nominees are Anora, written by Sean Baker. The Brutalist, written by Brady Corbet, Mona Fastful. A Real Pain, written by Jesse Eisenberg. September 5, written by Moritz Binder, Tim Thelbaum, co-written by Alex David. And The Substance, written by Coralie Farjat.
And last, before our break, the nominees for Performance by an Actress in a Supporting Role. Monica Barbaro in A Complete Unknown. Ariana Grande in Wicked. Felicity Jones, The Brutalist. Isabella Rossellini in Conclave. And Zoe Saldana in Emilia Perez.
Okay, wow, what a start. Congratulations to these Oscar nominees.
And hey, stick with us.
Stick with us.
We'll be right back with more nominations. Yes!
That was the first part of those Oscar nominations. I think there were 9 there. We were busy scribbling away, weren't we, Nina? First of all, let's get a reaction to what we heard. Big ones. Where should we start? Adapted screenplay. Conclave.
And there's a bit there. You know, Conclave so far is doing very, very well, actually. You can sort of sense in these categories where the kind of emotion is, if you like, of the voters. Conclave, Wicked, The Brutalist, and Nosferatu. They like Nosferatu.
Nosferatu, yeah.
Got a couple for Nosferatu as well.
Yeah, and also The Substance. That's really good news for The Substance, isn't it? And, you know, the original screenplay, the director, you know, Coralie Fajar, you know, if they like the way she wrote it, she could be a female nominee for Best Director.
Yes.
Hooray.
Yeah.
You know, but let's wait and see. So, yeah, not massive amount of surprise in there. Do you think?
Don't think so. No, not at all.
It's interesting in supporting actor that we've got the 2 actors from Succession.
Oh, God, we've got Kieran Culkin
and
against Jeremy Strong, indeed.
So they're both brilliant actors as well, aren't they?
I'm assuming they're mates at the moment, so let's see what plays out on the night. It was interesting, though, as well, that they did open these nominations with that serious tone that we just discussed at the beginning, didn't we? Very much reflecting on the fires in LA and also, you know, just the effect that it's had, the impacts on the industry.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, Bill Kramer, the CEO, has said that the ceremony on the 2nd is likely to have a lot of that, you know, a lot of speeches about the industry needing to carry on, people need to support the industry, and people within the industry need to support their fellow workers. So I think that's a theme that we're going to hear on the 2nd as well. But of course, they had to open it like that. But other than that, it felt sort of almost business as normal, you know, in terms of, you know, the way they announced the nominations. So
there were a couple of jokes in there as well, working on their pronunciation.
Yes,
I try and do that all the time.
It's very, very international, actually.
Yes.
That's something to be applauded, isn't it? You know, Spanish language, Emilia Perez. You know, you know, the film industry is an international film industry.
Yeah.
That's partly.
And it's something the Academy have worked on in recent years, trying to open their membership up to people that are non-American, essentially. So,
and I think you can see that. You can see it in the results, can't you?
We got costume there. We got hair and makeup there as well. Obviously, we had movies like Wicked, The Substance, and hair and makeup. Nosferatu in both those categories as well. And we were talking earlier about the behind the scenes and all the work that it takes to make this real, to bring it from the page to the big screen. And again, they're the kind of films that are really going to shine in these categories, yeah?
Absolutely. I think it's Nosferatu is who's the director of that?
Peter Eggers.
Robert Eggers is
Robert Eggers, yeah.
not Peter. But he's a very visual director anyway, so you know you'd expect his films to do well in the technical kind of crafts.
And we've got the next tranche of nominations coming up shortly. We're going to cut to them as soon as they start again. But Nina, we've got the big ones are going to be in this next lot, aren't they?
You know, they call them the big 5. You know, we're talking about actor, actress, director, best film. So. Looking at that, I don't know. Yeah. I know that Conclave is going to get there. The Brutalist is going to be in there. You know, Wicked. I think Wicked might get a Best Film nomination.
OK.
I'm going to say Wicked is going to get the most nominations.
Are you?
Yeah.
OK.
I'm going to put my...
Spoken like a technical person.
I'm going to put my...
Yeah.
OK.
Well, that's a joyous thing. There's a lot of grim stuff in the content in the films.
Followed by The Brutalist. I'm going to go. And then maybe not. Maybe Emilia Perez as well.
They're both works of art, though, aren't they?
OK, let's find out now. Who's up for what?
Okay, love it. We're in a hotel lobby. And we're back live. Before we continue, I just want to say it's really special to be here with Rachel.
Oh,
we both got our start in the New York alt comedy scene.
Yeah, we go way back.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, the alt comedy scene is sort of like regular comedy, but for women and gay people. And I just want to say, it makes so much sense that Bowen and I are like doing this now at this moment in our careers. You know, Bowen is such a huge star on SNL. He's in the hit movie Wicked.
Oh, thanks. And Rachel is Fatima.
Thanks so much. Let's keep going. So anyways, the nominees for Achievement in Music, Original Song are Amal from Emilia Perez, The Journey from the 688, Like a Bird from Sing Sing, Mi Camino from Emilia Perez, and Never Too Late from Elton John. Never Too Late.
Woo! Smashed it. You smashed it, as the Brits say. And now, the nominees for Best Documentary Feature Film.
Okay.
Black Box Diaries. No Other Land. Porcelain War. Soundtrack to a Coup d'etat. And Sugarcane.
Next, for Best Documentary Short Film, the nominees are Death by Numbers, I Am Ready, Warden, Incident, Instruments of a Beating Heart, and The Only Girl in the Orchestra. Those are some titles. Serious stuff.
Serious stuff.
Serious stuff.
Yeah. For Best International Feature Film, the nominees are I'm Still Here, Brazil. The Girl with the Needle, Denmark. Nothing for Denmark. Emilia Perez, France. The Seed of the Sacred Fig, Germany. And Flow, Latvia.
And for Best Animated Feature Film, here are the nominees. Flow, Inside Out 2, Memoir of a Snail, Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul, and The Wild Robot.
Here are the nominees for Achievement in Production Design. The Brutalist. Conclave. Dune Part 2. Nosferatu. And Wicked.
Next up, for Achievement in Film Editing, the nominees are Anora, The Brutalist, Conclave, Emilia Perez, and Wicked.
And for Achievement in Sound, here are the nominees. A Complete Unknown. Dune Part 2. Emilia Perez. Wicked. And The Wild Robot.
Next, the nominees for Achievement in Visual Effects. Alien Romulus, Better Man, Dune Part 2, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and Wicked.
A lot of monkeys in those films, I just realized. For Achievement in Cinematography, the nominees are The Brutalist, Dune Part 2, Emilia Perez, Maria, and Nosferatu.
For performance by an actor in a leading role, the nominees are Adrian Brody in The Brutalist, Timothy Chalamet in A Complete Unknown, Coleman Domingo in Sing Sing, Ralph Fiennes in Conclave, and Sebastian Stan in The Apprentice.
Woo! For performance by an actress in a leading role, the nominees are Cynthia Erivo in Wicked, Carla Sofia Gascon in Emilia Perez, Mikey Madison in Anora, Demi Moore in The Substance, and Fernanda Torres in I'm Still Here.
For achievement in directing, the nominees are Sean Baker, Anora, Brady Corbet, The Brutalist, James Mangold, A Complete Unknown, Jacques Audiard, Emilia Perez, and Coralie Forgeat, The Substance.
Woo! Okay, y'all, for our final category.
Our final category, I cannot wait. I feel like we should read them together.
I feel like we should.
Okay, here are the 10 nominees for Best Motion Picture of the Year.
Here they are.
Here we go.
Honora, Alex Coco, Samantha Kwan, and Sean Baker, producers.
Boom. The Brutalist, nominees to be determined.
A Complete Unknown, Fred Berger, James Mangold, and Alex Heineman, producers.
Conclave, Tessa Ross, Juliette Howell, and Michael A. Jackman, producers.
Dune, Part 2, Mary Parent, Cale Boyder, Tanya Lapointe, and Denis Villeneuve, producers.
Amelia Perez, nominees to be determined, producers.
I'm Still Here, nominees to be determined.
Guys, paperwork, let's go. Come on. Nickel Boys, nominees to be determined.
PGA. The Substance, nominees to be determined.
And Wicked, Mark Platt, producer.
Woo!
There it is, you guys.
There it is, y'all. Congratulations to all of this year's nominees. It's been such a privilege to share the news with you and movie fans around the world.
We are rooting for you all in equal amounts.
Yes. Watch the Oscars live, hosted by Conan O'Brien on Sunday, March 2nd at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific on ABC and Hulu. We cannot wait to celebrate with you.
We're gonna party.
We're gonna party.
It's gonna be so fun.
Bye.
Okay, we're back. Those were all the nominations, and we're very excited in here. Can we start with the Best Actress category?
The Best Actress category, you know, we have Cynthia Erivo and Calafia Gascon. This is the first time, ladies and gentlemen, in 50 years that two actresses from a musical film have been nominated for an Oscar. You have to go all the way back to Liza Minnelli and Diana Ross. So this is quite a moment. And Cynthia Erivo, of course, British actress. If she gets it, she's got the coveted EGOT. She's won everything.
I was going to say, the EGOT, what's that mean? Break it down for us again.
Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony. She's just missing an Oscar. She's had Oscar nominations before, so if she gets this, that will be quite a moment. But to do that, she's got to beat Demi Moore.
Well, I'm very happy for Demi.
So am I.
After we talked about her being labelled once as a popcorn actress, she can now be getting her first Oscar.
She did so well at the Globes, and I think there's a lot of impetus, there's a lot of kind of support for it.
There'll be a lot of goodwill. Everyone loves Demi Moore, don't they?
And talking of The Substance, we got a woman in the directing category.
This isn't. She becomes Coralie Fajar, the French director. I think she becomes only the 9th female director in the history of the Oscars to get a nomination. Of course, we know only 3 have won. Now, in that list of 5, she has made it in there, which is absolutely superb and, you know, will silence a few of the Oscars critics. I think that's an amazing achievement. And there's quite a lot of love for The Substance there. You know, it's a horror film. Horror films don't really do that well.
I thought it was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
It was absolutely brilliant. Can we talk about Best Film then? Because we've got quite a few to get through. There was quite a lot in there, but the ones that obviously stand out, we've got Brutalist, Conclave.
Conclave, that's the British producers.
All Brits, you said?
I don't know. Tessa Ross and Judy definitely are, but I'm not sure about the other 2. And also a British production designer who's also nominated for production design as well.
June Part 2. How about that? Kind of sci-fi. Got a sci-fi one in there.
Got a bit of sci-fi.
Got a bit of sci-fi.
Well, the first one did really well, though. One of you.
I mean, I don't necessarily think it's going to triumph, but, you know, there are so many genres in there. I personally am just delighted to see Nosferatu and The Substance in that. I mean, I like a good horror film, and we're seeing a movement towards making more horror films. So I'm really, really pleased to see those in the categories
and
today.
Physical effects as well in The Substance. I mean, there's a lot of prosthetic sort of art stuff that had died out, really. You know,
exactly. You said it's all coming back, isn't it? Can we talk about you did a particular loud gasp and scream, Nina, when you heard that Sebastian Stan had been nominated in the Best Actor category for The Apprentice?
He's got 2 films out at the moment. He's got a different man. He was rewarded for that at the Golden Globes, but not The Apprentice. He has got a nomination for The Apprentice. I'm not sure that necessarily anybody would have seen that one coming. Most people would have thought a different man would have scored. That makes a statement and a half. This is one of the big Oscar categories, and he's right up there, getting a nomination. And, you know, when I interviewed him a short while ago, he was incredibly earnest about why he did the film and what he wanted to say. And he was expecting, you know, it to go down very, very badly with those in power. I mean, I don't think that the president will be best pleased with that. And let's see what his, you know, his new 3 ambassadors, Stallone,
his special envoys to Hollywood,
and Gibson, are going to make of that. Because, you know, I think let's just wait and see what happens online, shall we?
That film couldn't get a distributor in the States, could it?
They couldn't get anyone to distribute it because they thought it was so dangerous. In the end, someone stepped forward and they managed to get it open in about half as many cinemas as it should have been. And, you know, it's word of mouth. It opened here, it did well. But it's a low-budget film. It's made really quickly. It's got an Iranian director with a bold vision who just went for it. I mean, one wonders whether perhaps an American director or American studio would have been a little bit hesitant to make such a...
Interesting, my 11-year-old's dying to see it. Absolutely dying.
Can your 11-year-old see it? I think
can
there's
they?
a bit of swearing in it.
A little bit
Well,
sweary.
Yeah.
Be all right.
But I think it's a superb film.
With parental guidance, James.
Okay,
I think we can say that possibly. Now, listen, something exciting now, because I think we can actually talk to someone who's just got an Oscar nomination. Let's speak live now to Peter Straughan, screenwriter for Conclave, now an Oscar nominee. Peter, congratulations. How does it feel? How are you feeling right now?
Thank you very much. It's wonderful. I'm absolutely thrilled.
Peter, hello, it's Nina here. I mean, obviously, there was success at the Golden Globes. The voters really seem to love this film. We all love this film, but, you know, working on material like that must have been fantastic because you've got to adapt something to get the adapted screenplay. You've got to have that source material be really good, I think.
You absolutely do. I mean, this was a sort of labour of love for me from the beginning. I loved the book. I loved Robert's book. And then I loved the people that were involved in making the film. So it was just a really happy experience for me from the beginning. So this feels, I feel almost spoilt that we should be being rewarded at this end of it as well.
It's such a great story. We've all seen it and loved it. I mean, it's such a great story, isn't it?
It's a great story, yeah. No, Robert did a fantastic job. And, you know, it's funny, I think we inherited from the book, I think we inherited that sort of twin ambition of wanting to make a film that had something to say, but that was going to do it in as entertaining and gripping a way as possible. And I think those films are kind of harder to make now. I mean, I sort of grew up, you know, with American 70s cinema, and I think there were a lot of those films around then. So it's kind of heartening to, I mean, it was a surprise, to be honest, to some extent for me, the extent to which Conclave's been a hit, but it's kind of heartening as well to think there is an audience for those kinds of films.
Do you know, it's interesting, Peter. Hi, it's Lucrezia here in the studio. I went to see Conclave. It was kind of completely by accident because I was in Prague and my flight was delayed because of Storm Dara. So I had an extra day and we thought, well, what should we do? We're going to go to the movies. And Conclave was on with another film. I can't even remember what it was called now. So I had no expectations and we went in there and I can tell you I was gripped from the very opening second when you can hear Ralph Fiennes breathing and he's going to basically see the Pope who has died, and that you just get that sense from right at the beginning of this monumental event. And as you say, you know, you were surprised that there's an appetite for this kind of film. I left the movie theatre with my husband and we said, gosh, it was like a proper good old-fashioned movie that had you from the moment you sat down to the moment you left the theatre, and that's so important. And I think this is why it's been such a success, hasn't it?
Oh, well, I'm really pleased. I'm really pleased you felt that way about it. Yeah, I mean, I know Edward, our director, you know, sort of, again, those sort of 70s films like Bakula, sort of those great political thrillers like, you know, All the President's Men. And that was the ambition. And I think, you know, what Robert had done with the book was to give us a political thriller with all of the you know, the fun that goes with that and all of the message that goes with that, but in an arena, in a precinct that we're not used to. So it made everything kind of so yeah, but I'm glad you enjoyed it from the beginning.
And you know, you say it's an arena that we're not used to because it is famously an incredibly secretive process, isn't it? So just getting that glimpse into what actually happens at the selection of a new pope, I mean, it's almost a privilege to kind of get that kind of insight, isn't it?
it's the oldest election still running in the world, I think.
Yeah.
In some ways, it's obviously it's an enormous constituency that it serves, the Catholic world. So it felt like a brilliant way of examining elections in general and politics in general, and power, and what power does to people, and who deserves the power.
Yeah.
So for all those reasons, it felt very fruitful as a setting.
And Peter, we've got to say as well, we've got to give a mention to Ralph Fiennes, who's also been nominated for Best Actor. I mean, we were all talking about it before, and that's no surprise, is it? Because his performance in this movie is exceptional.
Yeah, I would agree. Absolutely beautiful performance. I mean, we were blessed with a wonderful cast across the board. Stanley and John, Isabella, who's also had a nomination. It was an embarrassment of riches, but Ralph's performance was fantastic.
Yeah. Well, listen, and also, we were talking to James about when he got his Oscars for production design for Poor Things last year, and James, you were saying it was almost the nomination itself was the nerve-wracking part, not so much the actual Oscars. But Peter, come on, what are you going to be thinking when you're at the ceremony in March? You're going to be sitting there. You got your speech kind of like you're already thinking about your acceptance speech. How does it work?
I'm absolutely terrified, to be honest. I'm absolutely terrified. It's a very, very nerve-wracking, because on the one hand you think you're not going to get it, so you don't have to go up there, so don't worry. But you never know for certain, so you do have to kind of be prepared.
Yeah.
And I'm a writer who's used to spending his time in a room by himself, so the idea of getting up on stage in front of everyone is quite terrifying. But should I be so lucky, I'll do my best to have a speech ready.
All right, well, Peter, I think a healthy mix of nerves, fear, anticipation. But listen, we just hope you have a great time on the night, and we wish you the very best of luck. And if you do happen to win, can you join us in the studio next year with your Oscar as well? Because now we set a precedent here. Is that OK?
Absolutely, I would love to. Thank you very much.
Peter Straughan, thank you so much. Oscar nominee, Peter Straughan, thank you. Well, listen, that was it. We've got the nominations. Let's just have a little kind of recap. We've got Wicked, that did exceptionally well.
It did.
We
make it around 10 nominations for Wicked. Emilia Perez leads the field. Your favourite film.
Was your favourite.
Oh, great. Yeah, that's really good news.
That says a good thing about the voters and about liking people to be, cheeky and audacious in the way they make films. It's brilliant to see that so well supported. Conclave, I think, has 8 nominations in all, and The Brutalist has 10. So there's no clear front runner. There's no Oppenheimer this year. So I wouldn't bet on any of those at all in any of the main categories. I just wouldn't.
We'll just have to watch it on the night, won't we? And Nina, you'll be going out there again. How many years now is this for you?
It's probably about 15. Still haven't won anything, but yeah.
Will you talk about your experience on? Is it going to be a red carpet this year, even? Because that's what we're talking about—the tone and the ceremony and how it could change.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally the most glamorous thing that I've ever been to, and I think it's definitely one of the most glamorous events. You've been on that red carpet. It is. There's throngs of people there.
It's mind-blowing. Yeah, it's just 100 metres long, maybe more. I mean, it's vast, and there's a big marquee that you're under, and there are news crews from all over the world. It's quite something.
And is it quite chilly on that red carpet? I've heard you've told me before there's a bit of a wind tunnel.
Well,
right?
yeah, they have a cover over it to prevent any weather situations.
Yeah.
But I mean, listen, I don't know what does a glamorous red carpet look like if Hollywood and LA is still in the grip of this terrible crisis. I just don't know. I mean, will people be in diamonds and jewels? I don't know. We'll know closer to the time, but it's a difficult balancing act. But you know what? In terms of a vibrant industry, there's a lot to celebrate there.
Yeah, definitely is. And James, I want to ask just a couple more questions with you, because I'm desperate to know. When you do go up there and you give your acceptance speech, we hear a lot of chat, don't they, about, when you've done, you thank your agent, your manager and all the rest of it, and your God, you hear the music start playing.
Yeah,
do you get any kind of guidance and notes?
45 seconds. Well,
really?
What will happen now is there'll be an Oscar nominees luncheon, which will happen sometime in February, I guess.
Have they cancelled it? Recently cancelled.
Oh, right. Because the whole point of that is to tell you what not to do in your speech. They spend a long time telling you about the speech and what not to say and not to go over the 45 seconds. But the music comes up, because we got to the end of our 45 seconds and the music starts coming slowly at first, and then it gets louder and louder if you stay on there. And you have a big teleprompter in front of you which has the this countdown. It's quite brutal.
Yeah.
And then you go off, and then you get led off, and there's a camera crew waiting for you, and you're thrust in front of this crew, and we were looking at one another, Joan and I, and I'm like, well, what's this for? So, to thank anyone that you didn't have time to thank of, and we were completely unprepared for that, so we were like, and then walked
You've done
on.
all your thank yous, and you had extra opportunity to do more.
So, but yeah, if you do.
It's another one.
I thought what was really interesting, you'll have noticed on those Oscar nominations that they went through the best films and they said to be, you know, so in other words, the people who will go up and get the awards, the producers, were yet to be clarified. You said something really interesting about that.
So I think there's only a certain amount of producers allowed per film, and what's the Producers Guild of America will send you, me as a HOD, a questionnaire, and it will check up on to see whether these producers actually did any work, whether, you know, what their relationship was with you, and because I think you sometimes get people thinking that they're a producer and they're not necessarily, and so that's what that will be down to. Their paperwork won't have been in order, and they'll check up to see if, you know, they're actually doing their producer's job, which is great.
The T's, dotted the I's, all done properly, yeah? Can I ask you as well, where do you keep this then? Because a lot of people say we keep the Oscar, we keep our awards in the loo or the bathroom.
Yeah, I don't believe those
Oh,
people,
you think that?
Ours is in the kitchen by the bananas in the fruit bowl, and so the kids can see how great their dad is each morning.
Do you know what? We've all had a look at May I? I just want to give people a sense at home. Well, I do a bit of weight. I would put this as about a 4 or 5K.
It's just over 4.8, I think.
4.8, nearly 5K. I did say, Nina.
No, 3.8. Sorry,
3.8.
Yeah, right,
I need to work out a bit more, don't I? Well, listen, he's absolutely spectacular. We do love your Oscar. It's been lovely to talk to you, James, and all your amazing insight. And what our nominees this year can expect on the night. Nina, you'll be whizzing your way out there, of course, for another year. All the fun of the red carpet, which might be very different, as you say. And very, very finally, if you had... I hate putting you on the spot, but I'm going to.
Here we go.
Here we go. If you had to pick best film, what's going to get the best film?
I think best film is going to go to, looking at that, Emilia Perez.
OK. James?
Yeah,
I'd like to say that, but I'm not 100% sure it will.
OK. It's a great selection.
Do you think it's going to be The Brutalist?
I think it might be Wicked.
Oh, that would be something, wouldn't it?
That would be
something, yeah.
OK. Well, listen, we've got a few weeks to think about it all and see who we think is going to get what. But from here, let's just say the countdown to the big day has officially begun. I just want to say thank you so much, James. Thank you so much, Nina, for joining us. And just to let everyone watching know that the Oscars will be live once again on ITV1 and ITVX from 10:30 p.m. on Sunday, the 2nd of March. Jonathan Ross is on hosting duty. He'll have expert film analysis, celebrity guests, special coverage of this year's red carpet and the whole of the ceremony, of course. But for now, from all of us here, from James, from Nina, from me, thank you for watching. Bye-bye.